What's up, guys? We're going to get started with some maintenance here today. We're going to be getting into the spark plugs as well as talking about the oil change and the spark plugs that I chose and all the reasons for that. So yeah, there's the oil grey that you need, 5W30. It says right on the cap if you ever forget. Of course, to change the spark plugs today, we need to get in there. We're going to be taking the intercooler off. We've seen how to do that before. It's pretty easy to do. Although today, since we're going to be going in here, all of this is nice and pretty and blue already. We're going to be changing this boot over here, as well as the back boot to a new CorkSport boot, which not only has nicer clamps and also is a nicer, prettier blue, but is also a less likely to deteriorate hose. And also we're going to be changing the spark plugs, talking about spark plug gap and some oil stuff today. So let's have a quick little look. We'll grab the parts inside the car. As you can see, we changed the LEDs to blue already. So a couple of little changes. The car's motif will be silver, red and blue. So here we can see the spark plugs. These are a step colder than normal. They're the Denso ITV22s. And if you're looking for them online, they are the 5340 number 4s. So these actually already came pre-gapped to the right gap. They want to be anywhere between 0.26 and 0.28 inches, which is about 0.7 maximum millimeters. So with that being said, these plugs actually already came gapped to 0.27. So that was nice. The last ones I had to gap myself. And we're going to be going with an oil change. We won't be doing that today. Oil filter, if you're wondering which one, the HP1002 from K&N is widely regarded to be one of the best. These are some cabin air filters, which actually sit in that part of the car right over there. And pretty easy to change, but for the most part, I'll tell you now, dealerships and that kind of thing normally skip out on doing that. So just want to make sure I'm not breathing somebody else's old nasty skin and air. So I'm going to be popping that out just as something that I always do with one of the cars that I get. Anyway, on we go. Also, this will be later on though, the CorkSport transmission mount insert, the polyurethane bushing, because I had the CorkSport solid engine mounts previously and they were awesome, but they made the car super noisy, like so noisy that it was fun to drive, but when you had a passenger or anyone to talk, it was really bad. So I'm hoping that this is a good like in between. It looks pretty nice and solid and beefy. Looks like it's going to fit in pretty well. So that'll be another video as well later on. But here we're going to get this out today since we're going to be taking the intercooler off. There's the boots and the new nice clamps and all the new hardware that we're going to get and put on. And then of course some nice CorkSport decals. Thanks to CorkSport for always putting in some nice decals with their stuff. We like to put stickers on our cars. Nobody's going to lie. Cool, so let's have a quick little look at this over here. Nice. We'll get all of this out. It's got new clamps for each one of the hoses. And of course I think the larger one over here goes onto the throttle body, and the smaller one goes onto the hot side of the turbo and onto the input of the intercooler. So let's get that all off right now. We're going to go and take the intercooler off. In order to do that, we'll undo all of the hoses, front and back, and we're going to go ahead and undo over here 1, 2, and 3 bolts over there. We'll undo them from the hoses. This will literally pull up and free, and then we'll be able to get into the injectors. Sorry, not the injectors, the caps. Or these aren't the injectors. The injectors are down the side over here. Anyway, getting a brain fart now. We'll take these out with a 10mm, and these will pop just right out. And then let's talk about some special things that you'll need to do this job today. Since you've got to reach quite far down into your engine block, you're going to want to get a nice, you can get a cheaper one like that. That is a spark plug wrench, but so is this. This one is magnetic as well, so you'll see it'll actually just pick the spark plug up quite nicely. So yeah, you won't, when you're trying to seat the spark plug in there, there we go. When you're trying to seat the spark plug in there when you're going down, it won't just drop down and possibly even hit itself and change its gap. So yeah, nice. This one's actually a 5/8. It's magnetic, pretty cheap. Go and get one of those. And then also for this, you're going to be needing a piston ring gap ring, right? You just slide your, see it goes larger, and then you get a reading on the top. So you just slide your spark plug on there to measure the gap, and then you either just tap it on the top to make the gap a little bit smaller and closer to the diode, which is like this little pin in the bottom, or you just go ahead and just sort of pry it open and as you pry it open you'll get it to the right ring gap. So for this, 0.26 to 0.28 of an inch, which is going to be what we want for the Denso ITV22s, which are also called the Iridium Power. They are the, I just mentioned the part number inside. Anyway, I digress. We go on. Also, you need some anti-seize lubricant, because I'm really hoping that whoever put the last spark plugs in here has put that on there, because if you have one of those seize up in the block, you've got to be very careful and very patient to take it out, because if you get it stuck in there and it strips the threads, that is the block of your engine. That is quite a problem you're going to be having in order to try to fix that and move forward. So this stuff, the silver stuff, will get all over your hands and will be a mess. So we're going to be wearing some nice blue gloves today. And yeah, we'll get that done in just a second. Let's get all the parts off first and let's get going. Okay, so almost everything on this car is a 10mm, the hoses and everything, except for maybe the intercooler bolts, which are a 12, and for this one is also going to be an 8mm, which brings these little bad boys out. Then you just pull out your distributor caps, I believe that's what that is, and you go down into the spark plugs. Now have a quick little look in there, because you want to see the overall, sort of condition of what it looks like on the outside. So that'll give you a general idea on whether or not water's got in there before, and whether or not you're going to be wanting to be quite ginger with removing those spark plugs initially, because you might have rust. And as I said, if you have a cross-threaded or a seized thread in the bottom of your spark plug, and you take it out and you're aggressive and you remove all of those threads and you just release it, you're going to be having an engine rebuild on your hands. So something simple maintenance can turn into quite a big mess up. So just be very careful. Mine actually look pretty good, so I'm optimistic, and I'm going to go in now with this nice spark plug wrench, which is a magnetic wrench, so I don't drop anything in there. That's really for when you put the stuff in, so you don't drop it and change your gap as you're putting it in. But yeah, I'm going to go and remove mine now, and then when you put it back in, that's what the anti-seize is for. You're going to rub that silver stuff on the threads here as it goes in, which is just going to stop it from being able to seize from heat or water or whatever the case is. Alright, so of course you're going to peel these back and put these back. You can't really put them in wrong way around. Guess you really could this one into number 2 if you really wanted to. The rest wouldn't be able to fit anyway. So it's pretty easy to know where everything's come from. That's really all the hardware we've taken out so far. Now we're onto the spark plugs. The new ones go in and we are ready to go. So guys, just like I was just talking about the cabin air filters, the spark plugs are another thing that the dealerships like to claim that they change, but there's absolutely no ways, because I know that they don't use this particular spark plug themselves as far as I know when they replace this. This comes from the factory in Japan. So 52,000 miles. Well, spark plugs look pretty good. I mean, check the ring gap and everything, but I mean, pretty stock as you can see, but never been changed. I bet these have been in there for 50,000 miles. So yeah, they all look pretty good though in terms of how they've burned and the gap that they had, but they're all the original stock ones. So okay, so now off for that other little clamp over there for that boost tube, and we've got to find the other clamp over here. I don't know where it's hiding at. Let's hope it's not around the bottom. We've got to get that clamp off so we can get our new hoses on, and then put the intercooler back on, and we are good to go. Here guys, that little hose clamp was all the way around the bottom side over here, so I decided to cut through that bloody hose and just get it off, because I already got new clamps, so just cut it off.